What's good, everybody? Is when I come back at you another video. So this video is going to be a powerful one, and it's an important reminder for you to remember, and that is this, right? That you need to begin taking full responsibility for everything that happens in your life, right? Starting now, because I've noticed a tendency in the majority of folks out there that they take very little responsibility, if any, right, with their own lives, right? Many people are quick to blame external circumstances, their environment, external circumstances, external variables, right? They'll go as far to say, oh, I would be in a better position, but, the economy isn't doing so well. Or I would be in a better position, but, the job market is kind of dry. Or I would be in a better position for this reason or for that reason. And the problem with this is when you're blaming all of these external variables and external circumstances, what you're effectively doing is you're operating with a victim mentality, right? That you're in the position that you're in life and it's not your fault. And the problem with this is that if you're operating from the victim mentality that you're where you're at in life and it's not your fault, it has nothing to do with you, right? That it's just the cards that you were dealt. The problem with this is that people will see this as essentially a life sentence, right? That they won't see it as temporary, they'll see it as a life sentence. And because they're operating from victim mentality, they're basically operating from a state of powerlessness. Because if you believe that if your life is a disaster and nothing is working out, things haven't worked out, and you believe it's not your fault, you believe it's the economy, it's the job market, it's all of these variables, it's because your dream school rejected you, and because of that you didn't get the quality education that you wanted, and so you're not good enough to get a good job, right? Like, if you continue blaming all of these variables, then you're operating from a state of powerlessness, because you're saying that you're there, which is out of your control. And so because it's all out of your control, you're basically throwing your hands up and saying, well, that's life. That means that people are going to accept their life the way it is, and that things aren't going to change, and that nothing is in their control, when it couldn't be further from the truth, right? You are a powerful being, a powerful creature, right? You have the ability to think for yourself, but you have access to the most powerful system on the planet, which is your mind, right? You can think any thought you want, and you can create anything with your imagination. And you're also you have access to divine power, and you are tapped into the same energetic field that everything else on the planet is connected to, because everything on this planet is energy, because everything at the atomic level is made up of energy, right? Everything is made up of atoms. All matter on this planet is made up of atoms, and all atoms are made up of energy. So everything is energy. So everything is in fact the same. Doesn't matter if it's a liquid, doesn't matter if it's a solid, doesn't matter if it's a tree, a cinder block, a car, a notebook. Everything is all energy. Everything's made up of the same thing. So everything's pretty much the same. It's all energy. So if you feel powerless, what energy do you think you'll be vibrating? You'll likely be vibrating, well, not likely, you will be vibrating negative energy, right? And if you're in that negative state of powerlessness, right, it might be people feel powerless, that feel depressed, that feel, all these negative emotions. If you already feel and believe that you're powerless, you're not going to want to take action, because one, you won't be in the mood to do it, and two, you won't believe there's any purpose or any reason to do it, because life is already decided for you, because you feel as though it's out of your control, that everything that's happened to you is not your fault, that it's all these other variables that are controlling your life, when it's not true, right? It's these beliefs were instilled in people in order to keep them feeling powerless, and so that they do remain at the bottom, right? Because if you believe that you can't do anything about your situation, you're not going to even think about wanting to take action, and you're definitely not going to take action about it, because you believe that the cards were dealt to you the way they were dealt, not knowing, understanding, or believing that you do in fact have control over your situation, over your environment, right? You can change your environment by first changing yourself and improving yourself, by putting in the right thoughts and the right ideas in your mind, by investing in yourself and growing. That is how you better yourself. And once you're able to better yourself, that's when you begin to gain hope, right? And develop confidence in yourself and your abilities, that you are capable, that you are good enough, that you can make things happen. And then once you believe that you can make things happen, that is when you begin operating towards making things happen. And when you begin taking full responsibility of your life, right? When you take full responsibility of your life, that is when you accept that your life is the way it is, that things unfold the way it is, but you still operate from that same confidence and that same belief that you can make changes, that you can improve, right? That you can change things the way they are, right? If something bad happened, if disaster strikes, and if you take responsibility for that, you'll say, okay, this bad event happened in my life. Normally, I would be angry and frustrated, right? But that's okay, because just as though I was able to create this bad event, I am just as capable and willing to create something even better. I can turn this disaster into a blessing or into a miracle. And this can end up being one of the best things that's happened to me. That is how you begin operating when you take full responsibility for your life, right? Someone can be in a position of financial despair and say, oh, I'm here because of my education. I'm here because of the economy. I'm here because of the job market. You need to remember that you do in fact have power and control, because there's plenty of people who have gone from financial despair to financial abundance without having an education, right? Without needing the job market, or they've done it in a quote unquote bad economy. And it's because they began taking responsibility for their life rather than just constantly feeling bad for themselves and feeling all this pity. Is them accepting where things are, accepting that, these events happen, that they are where they are in life, and saying, you know what, I may be in this position right now, but that doesn't have any bearing on my future, because I know my future is going to be great and I'll create that. There's someone, rather than just reacting to whatever life throws at them and panicking and worrying and being anxious and everything, right? There's someone who's taking a deep breath and smiling and say, you know what, things are going to go well. I'm going to do something about this. I'm going to change this. And truly believing with every fiber of your being that you will, right? Many folks, and that's the thing, if the majority of people operate with this belief that it's all these variables, it's the economy, it's the job market, it's their education, it's all these variables that preventing them from succeeding and winning, then that means that the majority of the people feel as though they're victims and they are in fact powerless in society. And so if you are one of the few people who think differently and operate differently, then chances are you're going to be one of the few action takers. You're going to be one of the few people who do decide that you can do something about it, that you can change your life. And so it becomes a lot easier to win, because there's going to be very little people who decide to do something about their situation. Right? I literally can't tell you how many people I've come across and met that have pretty much given up on life, that they've just accepted the breadcrumbs that they've received and accepted that that is all they're ever going to get. And so, that is where they're at, not understanding that at any moment they can decide to think differently and become more, and decide that they can accept more, because they have the power to create anything. They have the power to tap into the best version of themselves, to make something out of themselves, rather than saying, oh, well, it's all of these, it's everything that's happened outside of me that's the reason why I am in the position that I am. For people who don't take responsibility for their life, they simply just live and operate from the victim mentality. And you don't want to do that, because you are what creates your external circumstances. People think their external circumstances are what creates them. No, it's the opposite, because creation is from within. Creation begins from the inside out. So if you want to change your outside world, you need to first begin changing who you are, change the way you think, change the way you operate, change your attitude, right? Start with that. And then as you begin changing, by default, you have to be thinking differently, because you're changing, you're no longer the same, right? So you begin thinking differently, and because you're thinking differently, you're going to be feeling different emotions, so you're going to be doing different things, right? That's how it all works. So when you take full responsibility for everything in your life, even if it's something that someone did to you, right? You can still take full responsibility for that, right? Because you can still look at that situation and say, you know what, I can fix this, or I can improve this, or there's something that I can do about this, right? Someone, you can be driving, right? And say, for example, someone hits your vehicle from behind, right? And people will be extremely frustrated and say, this person did this to me, this and that, right? You need to remember, like, everything in the universe is energy. So if that event happened, then somehow, some way, you created that event with your energy. I know most people do not want to hear that, but that is the truth, because that is how everything is interconnected with the universe. So something like that happens where someone hits the back of your car and you believe you didn't do anything. You may not have done anything, but that event happened because you created it with your energy. So what you can do, you can still take full responsibility for that. And for some people who will see themselves as just the victim and only the victim, and they'll just blame everything, blame the other person, blame everything, right? You can still say, you know what, somehow, some way, this is going to work out in my favor, right? Someone who can take full responsibility for that event can begin smiling, and like, if something bad happened to the vehicle, right, they can begin smiling, getting excited, and they're like, well, this is now, I now have an opportunity where I can now get another vehicle, and I can now get something that I want, right? Even if right now they may not have the financial means, it can still be an opportunity for them to get excited and say, you know what, like, this vehicle got damaged, great. Like, I know plenty of people who have gotten their vehicle damaged, and then when they contact insurance, the insurance company tells them, okay, we can give you a temporary vehicle of your choice while we repair your vehicle, right? That can be a brand new opportunity for you to experience driving a brand new car temporarily. Or some people may have dreams of having a dream vehicle, and they don't see themselves having more than one car at a time. So in order for you to get the new car, right, something needs to happen to your current car, right, to make it go away so that you can have a reason to get the new car, right? So that can be very well a reason for you to want to get a new car, right? So this is what I mean. It's like taking full responsibility for your life, basically accepting the events that happen in your life. I understand we're human. I understand there's going to be times where you may experience negative emotion when these events happen. But when you take full responsibility of your life, you accept things how they are in the current moment, and you say, you know what, if there's some things that exist here that are not to my liking, I do have the power and I can change this for the better. I don't begin telling myself that there's nothing I can do, that is out of my control, right? Because then that's having a victim mindset, and that is essentially being powerless. And the majority of people that live in this world feel as though they are powerless to their world, when that couldn't be further from the truth, because you can be or have anything. You have divine power within you, and you can create anything that it is that you want to create. So your life begins to change once you begin taking full responsibility for everything that unfolds, even the bad and the ugly, right? Just no need to react and be frustrated, but just say, you know what, I know with my power, I created this. And if it's bad, it's likely because I created it by default without knowing any better. But now I understand my true power, and I can use my true power now to create what it is that I want moving forward. So I'm going to do that, right? So life becomes more fun when you take full responsibility, because now the ball is in your court and you can always do something about it, right? So that's how it all works. So that wraps up the video. Enjoy the video. To leave a like and subscribe as we're on the road to a million subscriber, guys. So once again, it's Joel, and I'm out. I'll see you guys for the next video.